Last Word with Matt Cooper on Today FM.
Now, there's a ban in place on hare coursing. It was put in place by the Minister for Culture, Josepha Madigan, in August as a result of an outbreak of a virus affecting rabbits and hares. But it seems that a lot of Fine Gael TDs, particularly those from rural areas, are unhappy that the ban has not yet been lifted. Could this be a backdoor way of effectively banning the whole controversial sport of coursing? Mattie McGrath, you're an independent TD for Tipperary. How widespread now is the concern that this is a backdoor ban on hare coursing?
Well, it's very ironic, this has all happened just as we approach, the hare and the coursing season, and indeed for clubs who nurture the hare and who have the habitats and preserves and look after them and, and administer vaccines and when they catch them. This all happened as the license were to be issued just literally days before. We've had a number of setbacks then, delays, and it's going to be okay this week and next week. So we finally had D-Day last Wednesday. And people were waiting a bated breath, being told by Fine Gael TDs and candidates that it was going to be sorted and was sorted. But what happened last Wednesday was a disaster. And then the minister is saying that she's providing a roadmap. This was on Wednesday, indicating that she's just not listening to either the ICC, that's the coursing clubs, or indeed her backbenchers. And she's demonstrated to her own scientific, they've demonstrated to their own scientific analysis that the so-called threat is manageable. And she's not listening to the people who are, importantly, the people on the ground, families whose livelihoods have been affected by all this delay and sabotage. And
how is their livelihood being affected by not having hare coursing, which involves the chasing and killing of animals? How has their livelihood been affected by that?
It's huge. The coursing clubs are part and parcel of our heritage. There are many families throughout rural Ireland affected by this. They breed the dogs, they train the dogs, they run the dogs, and then they also are involved in coursing meetings. All these meetings then have qualifiers that go forward to the national meeting in Clonmel, which I tell you, Matt, is worth in the region of 6 million in revenue to the Clonmel area. And that's the national final. And people come from all over UK and Ireland and Northern Ireland and everywhere. And it's highly supervised by bits from the Irish department bits. And there's no hares being killed. I haven't seen a hare killed in Clonmel at the national course or indeed the local meetings. Dogs are muzzled, and the hares are so strong because they're brought in, and they're as I said, vaccinated and treated in the preserves and fed and looked after, like nobody else. And can I say...
You make it sound like they should be enjoying it, Matty.
Well, they're well treated and they're in a very healthy condition. And if they have any viruses or any illness, they're treated and they're released back out into the wild after being vaccinated. What Minister Madigan is suggesting now is the capture of up to 5 sample populations of 5 designated areas, with supervision from National Parks and Wildlife. We have no problem with that. But what we have a problem with, and the people who nurture these animals are, if they catch or net a pregnant hare, they release them. Or if they net a weak hare, they release them. But she wants every hare now that this document that's caught to be brought in, and that would be totally untenable to being female hares. And then she won't allow any. There's no vaccination being allowed to these hares while they're in this compound, or what she's calling it, some kind of a paddock, and has to have CCTV. This is not going to be in place for 3 weeks or 4 weeks.
Well, just to finish, so do you think is this year's event in Clonmel now unlikely to happen as a result?
The second person asked me that today. I'm saying that the Fine Gael, and we understand up to 30 backbenchers and junior ministers, had a heated debate with her on Wednesday and Thursday, I'm not sure what evening. But this needs to be dealt with, and we cannot have a South Dublin minister like Minister Ross. He stopped the coursing or the advertising for the coursing. They seem to be vying for votes, both of them in South Dublin, to blackguard the rural people and their heritage and their culture and their economy and the economies of families. What's going to happen to all the dogs that are being bred?
Okay.
Are they going to be, you know what I mean? So it's pure anti-democratic. That so many in Fine Gael were told that wanted. Even the Taoiseach said he goes to Shelburne, is going to go again this year regarding the coursing of Minister Ross. But this is his own minister. This is her third attack in about 6 weeks on rural Ireland, and it's just not tenable.
Thank you very much, Mattie McGrath. I know you didn't want to engage with our next guest, the animal rights campaigner Johncurranff. John, Mattie McGrath has described there a regime which looks after animals, cares for them, in which hares are not killed. So why would you have an objection to the process of coursing?
I think I have an objection, like most progressive people, Matt, in today's society. Look, I mean, he might have had an argument back in the 50s or the 60s and the 70s when this type of activity was deemed acceptable, when we were clued out of how animals are sentient beings, just like dogs and cats. The reality is that the public are on the side of animal protection in this day and age. We know that animals suffer. And the reality is that these hares are suffering as well when they're trapped in their thousands every year.
Sorry, John, I have to hold you there for 1 second. In what way do they suffer? Because what Matty McGrath said is that these animals are bred, they're cared for, they're given medicine, they're fed, and the dogs are muzzled and the hares don't die. That's a major change from the way it used to be, isn't it?
No, that doesn't cut it at all. Let's call a spade here. These are very gentle, timid animals, and even when they're being coursed in the coursing compounds, you can see these animals where the hares are tossed violently up into the air where they fly off the ground. Reports from the National Parks and Wildlife Service have documented for years these little gentle creatures suffering from heart attacks, broken bones, and they're genuinely terrified. If we as a progressive society think that these animals are in a fun fair, we can think wrong. And I think Josepha Madigan is taking the right moves. She cannot at all afford to take a risk of lifting the ban that's in place at the minute and allowing coursing to go ahead with the current threats that are posed to rabbits and hares, as a matter of fact. But what I would say is I would encourage her to stand firm, to stand tall, and to be progressive, and to take this opportunity, to consign this activity to the books as well, because I can tell you this here and now, Matt, it mightn't happen this year or it mightn't happen next year, but I can tell you we're moving forward as a kinder society. We're advancing in our views of animal protection, and I honestly think that there is only a shelf life with regards to hare coursing, because let's face it, they're trying everything they can every year to get younger people to go into those coursing fields. I was in there for a good couple of years myself over the years, watching what was going on, and in this day and age, most young people would have to be dragged, kicking and screaming. So let the TDs, just one more thing, Matt, if I can say this, let the TDs get their knickers in a twist with this one. But the reality is that there's just a shelf life in this, just like there is with greyhound racing and any other industry that abuses animals. And I hope that Josepha Madigan holds tough with this one.
I'm going to put it out to listeners. Thank you very much, John Carmody, animal rights campaigner.
The Last Word with Matt Cooper on Today FM.